Thanks for joining News 3 Now at 10. I'm Amanda Quintana. Tonight, gun sales are on the rise both in our area and across the nation. Adam Duxter spoke to two stores whose owners say it's more than just COVID pushing people to buy.
Stores like Max Creek in Oregon say since March, they've struggled to keep guns and ammunition on the shelves. And while they've had plenty of repeat customers, what's really caught their eye is the number of people coming in for the very first time. An explosion of sales unlike any other.
Well, I hate to use the word, but it's incredible right now.
Max Creek owner Steve DeRazio has been selling guns for more than a decade, but says fear, uncertainty, and unrest are now putting them in more hands than ever.
But with the pandemic and the rioting, obviously a whole new different crowd of people coming in. A lot of first-time shooters.
The New York Times says March was the second biggest month for national gun sales ever. And in June, the FBI says it processed a record 3.9 million background checks, the most since the agency started recording that data in 1988, which means DeRazio,
which this gun is an all-alloy gun, it's really heavy.
And shops like CTR Firearms in Janesville are at times struggling to meet demand.
To put it simply, if you thought America was armed before, we doubled down.
Here, the owner says fear is the #1 driver for sales, and it's brought people into his store who would have never purchased guns before.
It's very intimidating for them. You can see it in their voice, you can see it in their eyes, you can hear it in the conversation. But their fear of that firearm has now been overcome by the fear of what's going on in the world.
But as customers see buying a gun as a way to eradicate those fears, DeRazio says the thing he's afraid of is happening right outside.
We have a war outside of our country right now. We have a war in our country right now.
An increase in gun violence, not just in Madison, but cities throughout the nation. And while neither owner can say for sure if the increase in sales is tied to the recent increase in crime, DeRazio says he's been devastated to see innocent lives like 11-year-old Anissa Scott lost.
That breaks my heart, because I'm a father and a grandpa, but I don't have control of that.
What he can control, safety and education. He says there's no telling when the demand for guns could slow down. But in the meantime, he's hopeful that spike in sales won't create anything beyond responsible owners.
We just need to slow down, start smiling, start shaking hands. You know, peace, that's where it's at.
And DeRazio says if you are curious about becoming a first-time gun owner, the first thing you should do is come in and talk with him. He says even if you don't end up making that purchase, he's hopeful you'll learn from the conversation you had. In Oregon, Adam Duxter, News 3 Now.
Gun sales have been impacted during election years before. The New York Times reports 1 million were sold the month Barack Obama was elected in 2008 and 2 million following his re-election in 2012.